the next couple of weeks are going to tell us a lot about the Browns. The team that's in that same boat is the Chicago Bears. Fool's Gold is the name of this topic.
You name that.
Foles,
don't try to make it seem like we all agree to that.
Are they Fool's Gold or are they Foles Gold? Foles Gold means they're for real.
Please tell them you made that up. Don't try to make it seem like we did that together. That was a you thing.
And their next 5 games are the Rams, Saints, Titans, Vikings, and Packers. So in the next 5 weeks, we're going to realize if they're really Foles Gold or they're not. And
we all know what you think.
We know what you think.
I think they're Foles Gold. And if you look at the stat sheet, and because probably one of you guys' argument is gonna talk to me about his stats and stuff,
Actually,
how they're subpar. I know they're not over the top. They're not electric, and I feel that's more due to Matt Nagy than it is to Nick Foles. Matt Nagy came in as a great offensive mind, right? But I think he's really underperformed and disappointed, and he actually almost cost them the game yesterday. I mean, Matt Nagy, okay. His first year in Chicago in 2018, they were 9th in offense.
Right.
Very next year, they were 29th in offense. And now this year, they're 27th in offense. So he's one of the bottom 20th. The Bears are one of the bottom 20th offensive teams, even though they have an offensive head coach. And last year, the blame was all on Mitchell Trubisky, right? But in 2018, Mitch made the Pro Bowl. And Matt Nagy got all the credit.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2019... Mitch regresses, and it's all on Mitch, and it has nothing to do with coach, and I feel like that's a little sketchy. I'm not a believer in Mitch, but I think Matt Nagy deserves some blame here for these offensive numbers not looking that good. But I'm a believer in the Bears, and I'm a believer in Nick Foles. I'm a believer in the Bears, one, because they have an elite defense. They're in 6th in points allowed, 1st in touchdowns allowed, the best defense in the red zone, and they're the 2nd best defense on 3rd down. So the defense gets off the field a lot. And I'm a believer in Foles because he's a motivational speaker. He's a guy that I'd hire if I was on my last breath about to jump off a bridge to come talk to me and talk me out of it. That's the kind of guy Nick Foles is. He's a leader. He's a leader, and I feel like he's very inspiring. And I think it rubs off on the whole team. So I think the Bears are for real. And I really like the young players. Part of the reason they're so good on defense is because of rookie Jalen Johnson, opposite of Kyle Fuller. He's a really good corner. He's gonna be one of the best young corners in the league already as a rookie. And a lot of teams have been trying to try him, and he's been making them pay for it. And then the rookie on offense, Darnell Mooney. He was a 5th-round pick wide receiver. He's really fast. He's really good. And the Bears have a bunch of deep threats. Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson, and Anthony Miller. Mitchell Trubisky couldn't take advantage of them, but Nick Foles can. So I think I'm definitely sold on the Bears. And right now, they're 1st in the NFC North. So now the Packers are playing catch-up, not the Bears.
They don't have the same record?
Oh, yeah. I think they do have the same record, but I think the Bears are 1st.
Oh, okay. You want to go?
I
agree with everything you said, honestly.
The Packers are 4-1. They had a bye.
Oh, okay.
I like Nick Foles a lot, and I think that what you said about him being like a motivational speaker and a great leader is the most true thing that you said. Like that is what I think he has the most going for it.
You sent it to me through text.
Yeah.
It's hard not to like the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're an Eagles fan. If I was an Eagles fan, I'd love him. And I would never bash him at all.
If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go watch.
Was that like a sub or something? Like, what's wrong with you?
If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go watch his press conference from yesterday after their win. And some of the things he said, it's just like you watch it, and it's like it's hard to imagine being in the locker room with him and not wanting to go out and play a football game with him. Like, he is a great leader.
Even with this Christian rap and a lot of his soft music, yeah, that's his choice of music.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gospel and Christian rap.
He really seems like a great guy. He's had such a tough journey, and so seeing him in a position to succeed, it's hard not to root for him. I think that the best thing that the Bears have going for them, even though the segment is called Foles Gold,
is their defense.
Is their defense, because they have so many great pieces on that defense. I mean, you go down the list. Eddie Jackson is one of the better safeties in the league. Khalil Mack. You
don't have to say.
He's Khalil Mack. Right? He's one of the best players in the NFL. Forget defenders.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a great linebacker duo. They have a great safety duo. Like, I feel like everywhere around the field, you mentioned the cornerbacks. I feel like everywhere around the field, they have playmakers and difference makers. And that's what's really going to keep them in any game, I think. And, you know, the one thing that scares me about them is that they haven't played anybody. They beat the Bucks.
I feel like we say that about every team.
It does seem like that.
Because we're only 6 weeks into the season, so
you don't know who.
Now we're getting into the climax of the season.
Things.
Oh man,
they had that big win over the Bucks, which not a big
huge
win.
win.
They beat them by 1, but big. I mean, and like that was big for them because that was the real team that they've beat so far. Other than that, they had the Falcons, the Giants, the Lions, who they should have lost to, and the Panthers. None of those are really great wins that stand out. The Bucks was their resume builder, and a loss to the Colts, which is tough.
Mitchell Trubisky should have lost to the Lions, not Nick Foles, right?
Fair.
Right, okay.
And now they're getting into the thick of it. You mentioned. Now they got the Rams, the Saints, the Titans, and then the Vikings, who are struggling, but it's still going to be a tough game.
And I say what I say about Nick Foles and the Philly comparison because we remember in 2015, Ryan Fitzpatrick's amazing season with the Jets. I think he still holds the record for most touchdowns.
The 10-6 season?
Yeah, the most touchdowns thrown by a Jets quarterback. Even though we didn't make the playoffs, we appreciate that year from him. And you're never going to hear any bashing coming from a Jets fan outside of that Week 17 game.
He threw 6 interceptions one time.
If Fitzpatrick were to bring us to the playoffs, we'd be forever grateful. Imagine the quarterback bringing us to the Super Bowl. That's something Nick Foles, if I was a Knicks fan, if I was an Eagles fan, I would always praise him. Nothing ever. I'd never say anything bad about Nick Foles.
I'm just going to let you guys
especially
go on this.
out-dueling Tom Brady. Wow.
My last word is I will say I think that they are Foles gold. Moving forward, I would buy stock in them if there was the option. Riv, the floor is yours.
Foles
I was
gold.
literally going to agree with you, and then you started talking crazy.
Foles gold, Foles ruby, Foles sapphire. I'm going Foles everything.
Nah, I agree with you. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna buy my stock into Foles Gold here because I like what they're doing. And you mentioned it, leadership, championship pedigree, experience. Nick Foles has things, the intangibles that Mitchell Trubisky just doesn't have. He has all that. He's not the best. He's not gonna be the best thrower. He's not gonna be the best player on any, but he has the leadership and the experience. They have a number 1 receiver, Allen Robinson, who since Nick Foles has stepped in, he's been playing really well. That defense has been amazing. So I'm gonna buy stock because I feel like with an elite defense, you have a game manager who's never really gonna lose you a game. You have an elite number 1. You have guys who are gonna play for him. You can pick the Bears to beat almost any team on any given night. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw some money in there. Foles Gold.
But that title of game manager, I don't like it.
Why?
Because Alex Smith, to me, I think
quarterbacks
that get labeled game managers are quarterbacks that play safe and conservative. I don't think that's Nick Foles' game.
I wouldn't think it's an insult.
I don't think he's safe
it's
and
guys who
conservative.
like you wouldn't call Kyler Murray or like Lamar Jackson a game manager because they're gonna do something like out of walk in the game.
I don't think
it's not a bad thing though.
Kyler Murray, I have not seen that from him. To do something out of just to win the team a game. He's done it a couple times, but
how you go from a couple times to I've never seen him do it? Because
last year they weren't very good, and this year they've kind of been underwhelming. They're on a losing streak right now.
So, but what's wrong with being called a game manager?
After winning to the Jets, but
what's wrong with being called a game manager?
No, I don't think Nick Foles is one.
I don't think it's an insult, but I also don't think that Nick Foles is going to win you a game.
I don't
think he's going to light it up on the scoreboard.
Nick Foles has shown more to win a game than Kyler Murray has shown to win a game.
Well, one guy's been here for like 8 years, another guy's in year 2.
No, but I'm just saying. But you said Kyler Murray
because you're not going to see.
I like to see you name more players.
You're not okay
that are actually
all right.
Here.
Even a guy
have
like,
years under their
you
belt.
would okay. Let me give you an example. You're not going to see Nick Foles get sacked. You're not going to see Nick Foles throw a pass that's like, oh my God, that's like top 10 pass I've ever seen. You're not gonna see him do that ever in life. Like that's just not a Nick Foles thing.
I get what he's trying to say.
That's not a Nick Foles thing. Like he's not
doesn't mean he's a game manager.
It's hard to put it into words.
But did you see his throws against Atlanta? They look pretty top 10 to me.
No. They didn't look top.
You should have
10
seen him. You should have seen the throws.
He's a game manager.
In his comeback versus Atlanta, those are some top 10 throws.
I think he's a really good quarterback, but I don't think he's anything more than that. Like, I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a great leader who is also a really good quarterback, which has translated to wins. And I think that the biggest impact that he's made has been as a leader and managing the offense. Because you look at it feels like just yesterday we were talking about Allen Robinson wanting a trade out of Chicago when Trubisky was playing quarterback.
Because of contract situations, though. They didn't want to extend him.
You ain't talking about it no more. So you
Exactly.
You sure it was that?
I haven't heard a word about it.
You ain't talking about it no
Foles took
more.
They're winning. And he's been playing well, too.
And look at Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham, you didn't hear a word from him the first 2 weeks of the season, and now he's almost looking like revitalized with Nick Foles at quarterback. Allen Robinson has looked great. Jimmy Graham has looked great. And even the offense without Tariq Cohen, who was their lead back, has looked really good.
Tariq Cohen's out for the year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
So even with him missing the year, or being out for the year now, the offense losing their most explosive piece, in my opinion, has looked better than it did with him. And I think that Nick Foles,
I guess. I think Tariq Cohen hasn't been Tariq Cohen since 2018.
That's
Last
fair.
year, he wasn't that good.
that's fair.
That's fair
But
to
I
say.
say, I don't think Nick Foles is just a good quarterback and not anything more than that. I think if we're going on a scale of like 100%, I think Nick Foles is a good quarterback 70% of the time. And that other 30%, he's a great quarterback. And he turns it up. And I think we've seen that throughout his career.
Are you talking about in his numbers? I hope that's not what you're talking about.
Is winning his
So
numbers.
you're saying he never plays bad?
Well, he has some bad games, but I think even his bad games aren't eye-popping bad and just.
But has he?
shake
But wait,
your
okay.
head
This
bad.
year has he
Because
had?
you mentioned the
this
playoff
year,
game against Atlanta. But he played a clean game against Atlanta.
He played a game managing game.
That's not a bad game. That's not a great game.
I
That's
never,
just a good
but I
game.
never said it was bad being a game manager. You took it to offense.
No. But the day that we had that argument, you said that was a bad game from him.
Did you watch him?
Yeah, I did. He played a clean game. Sometimes you got to give credit to the defense.
I think you are just as likely to see him have a bad game or lose you a game than you are to see him have a great game and win you a game.
I don't think so.
That's just my opinion.
Not from Nick Foles.
I think he is like
Has he had an eye-popping game this year?
Atlanta
Statistically,
in the fourth quarter.
No, that's not what I
Atlanta
asked you.
in the fourth quarter.
Statistically,
The three
I mean,
of,
his statistics against Atlanta are really great.
the three of us could have an eye-popping game
you
against
talk about the
Atlanta
team that
in the
blows
fourth quarter
leads
at quarterback.
consistently. That's what you're talking about. Atlanta.
Mitch Trubisky didn't have an eye-popping game against them.
It's clear Nick Foles.
Kirk
is better
Cousins
than
didn't just this week, just yesterday.
Nick Foles is better than both of them.
I've been selling Kirk Cousins stocks.
I feel like you took this game manager thing to the heart.
Not because I don't think he's a game manager. When I
Do you
think
know
of
the definition of game managers? I had to look it up real quick just to
game
make sure I
manager
wasn't
is
bugging.
safe and conservative. That's what
I'm
it means.
gonna read
When
it.
you think
Can
about
I
game
read it?
manager, you think
Can I
of
read
safe
it?
and conservative.
Can I read it?
You think of
Can
Jimmy
I read
G.
it? Why is he not? Can I read it?
Yeah, read it.
In American football, a game manager is a quarterback who, despite pedestrian individual statistics, Nick Foles, such as passing yards and touchdowns, Nick Foles, also maintains low numbers of mistakes, Nick Foles, such as interceptions and fumbles. Game managers often benefit from strong defenses, Nick Foles, and rushing offenses on their team, Nick Foles.
What quarterback doesn't? That's a great quarterback right now that you consider top 5. Doesn't have a strong running
Russell
game
Wilson.
nor a strong defense.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson.
Great receivers.
But that's not what you just asked us. That's not what you just asked
And they
us.
have a pretty good running game. And actually, last year, this is the first year the
But are you
Seahawks
gonna-
have let Wilson loose.
Wait, but are you going to sit here and tell us Russell Wilson's not elite?
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that every quarterback needs to have people around
Wait.
him in order to be successful.
But does Russell Wilson
Game
throw?
manager or not.
But does Russell Wilson throw pedestrian statistics?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not trying
Lamar
to. But I'm
Jackson.
just saying, what quarterback is in a bad situation and putting up eye-popping numbers? No quarterback. Lamar Jackson has an elite running game, an elite defense.
He is the running game.
Literally. Don't do it. He is.
But they feed off of him, and a lot of players do. The scheme is the real MVP of that offense.
Patrick
The
Mahomes
scheme.
didn't have a great rushing offense last year.
They had a great defense to end the year. That's
At
why
the
they
end
that's
the
why
year, but it wasn't a consistent defense throughout
in
the
the
year.
playoffs it was.
Yeah, but
The reason they made the Super Bowl is because their defense was number 1 in a lot of categories to end off the year.
absolutely. But their offense is their bread and butter.